Right, hello everyone. Hello and welcome, I suppose. So this is going to be a slightly different style of battle report. I hope you don't mind it. Um, I've taken inspiration from 40k dirtbags, shorter, sharper battle reports instead of sort of going 100% in depth or actually recording the whole battle report. Just showing you some pictures at the start and end of turns, which I'll be honest, I am useless and I forgot to take some of them. So there might be occasionally one turn missed, but I can explain the gap. So this will be coverage for the Armageddon 2025, which is in effect the UK Nationals. This ran across the 24th and 25th of May 2025. I went into this. I'll be honest, I hadn't played a game properly in 2 years. In the past 2 years before this event, I played 3 games. One of which was a 6 mil game, and 2 were very much casual games with us not having a clue how to play. So this was, quite frankly, the first time I played in 2 years, realistically. A lot of change. Dynamic points have come out. And, well, they were out before, but they've they've started to be used now. They weren't used a lot last time, and they also have changed a lot since I was last playing the game. Anyway, enough of the jabbering. We'll go on to my list. If I can get the screen to work here. There we go. So I did make a slight cock up when I made the list. I did initially think it said you may take a maximum of 2 formations, and I actually read it wrong. It was actually you can take 2 or more. So yeah. So back when I was playing 2 years ago, and the last event I went to, I remember there was a lot of chieftain for British, a lot of chieftains, and usually recce's companies, platoons, formations. That's the word I'm after. Formation. So I kind of went with this in mind. I built a chieftain formation. I was going to put a recce in, but I wanted some more inventory than I had access to with just a recce and a chieftain formation. Again, this is because I misunderstood the list building aspect of the rules pack. But that's through no fault of the organisation of the event. It was organised wonderfully. That's just due to my own incompetence, which you'll see a lot of throughout the weekend. So all in all, I went for a chieftain armored squadron formation. This is accounted for over half the list. It was led by a single chieftain. I then had 2 units of 3 chieftains. None of these were steel brew, so they're all front armor 17, with a 2-up cross check. All got bazooka skirts. Next up in the formation were 3 swing fires. These were by far the best unit and highest performing unit for the whole weekend, in my opinion. Next we got Abbott. Again, these used to be taken all the time because they were dirt cheap in comparison to the 109s. Honestly, I'm not sure if they're that worth it anymore. I mean, yes, they're cheaper, but I don't know if they outperformed the 109s. I think that 4+ instead of the 2+. Really, actually, you felt that. And then we got the Scorpions for a bit of spearhead. They got a pretty decent gun for dealing with lower level things, except for if they've got any form of ERA or heat protection, then they do start to run into some troubles. Oh, sorry about that. I did pick up a cold from this weekend, which is all fun and games. Next up, I went for a Lynx Air Mobile company. I wanted to get some inventory in there, and I wanted to give the air mobile stuff a go. It seems fun. Comes with Milans instead of Carl Gustavs, which on the tin look great. Swapping out the Carl Gustav for Milans gives you another 6 to 10 high anti-tank shots. So in this formation, we've obviously got the HQ, which is an SLR rifle team. And then I actually paid the extra 2 points here for the 2 GPM GSFs. And that is a mouthful. The whole purpose behind putting these in the list was I wanted them for insulation against for the Milans, a bit of insulation just so I could mistaken target to keep the Milans alive a little bit longer and firing more. I actually found out throughout the weekend that they've got a 2-up skill, which makes ranging in for their small artillery template quite easy. Let's put it that way, especially if they're in the open. I found out that they're really good for pinning, so they might be more useful in a standard formation. If you can blitz out of transport, So the way I've been thinking about things recently is if you could blitz them out of transport, you could fire their artillery template, which would automatically pin if you got one hit, which would be better than firing their 6 shots. I feel. Then you would have whoever you wanted to assault pinned, making their defensive fire less, which would in turn make the assault easier. This isn't how I use them though, so I actually just use them as insulation. So you shoot the Milans, I'll mistaken target onto one of those, kill them off first to try and keep the Milans firing longer. So after the HQ with the 2 SFs, we've got 2 Lynx Air Mobile platoons. They're the fully staffed ones with the 4 GPMG, 3 Milans, and a mortar. Now this list is wrong. Everything does have Lynx transports. I did pay the extra. It's a free upgrade. I did upgrade everything to Chinook. Then finally in that formation, we have a 4-man Milan missile team, Milan platoon, which as we've just stated, I attach both SFs to. Finally, in support, we've got 3 Chieftain Marksmans for a little bit of AA, and I found out they're actually useless at AA, but they're really good at pinning stuff and dealing with transports. We then have the 4 Harriers. These were an absolute godsend across the weekend. I couldn't have asked for better off them. In all except for the last game, they were just powerhouses. Finally, we got the Scimitars. This was to balance out with the Scorpions and kind of make a pseudo recce formation without the recce HQ. So here I've highlighted what I put in reserves. I planned my reserves before I went. I wanted this list to do attacking most of the time. The whole idea was I wanted to throw some rounds down range, and then once I'd beaten one side down and found a weak spot, I'd get the heli to go and land the troops on that side. Completely forgetting about the whole fact that you can force helicopters into the air, which cost me a game for sure, which we'll talk about later. But the whole premise was I was going to put 6 chieftains and a Milan platoon in. Oh, sorry. So game 1, I played against someone called Johnny. I'd never heard of him, and apparently he's quite good at the game. Let's put it that way. So I can't remember the mission that we were playing exactly, but I was attacking, he was defending. Well, I think that was it. We both picked attack. Actually, the mission is on the top here. I'll look it up after, and I'll put it in the description. So we both ended up on attack. Johnny ended up getting first player here. We both have 40% of our forces off in reserve. So Johnny was running a very, I don't want to say basic list, but it was very basic. It was three BMD formations. I'm pretty sure they were BMD 2s. Three fully stacked BMD 2 formations. He'd got 6 Hinds and 6 Su-17 fitters. So he had a lot of stuff. He had 22 BMDs, I think it was, all in all. So as you can see from deployment, we had a little square box on each side, sunk in 8 inches from the table quarter. for both of us. I used my Scorpions with a road dash to get it behind the building, and then deploy the Milan platoon and the marksman over here. I got my swing fires in the forest. I've got my abbots in the forest. I have my standard chieftain HQ in the center board. He isn't visible down the center. With the blitz, he would be visible. Next up, we've got the scimitars. Again, they've used their spearhead. That's the word I'm after. They've used their spearhead to push up. I've got a infantry platoon in loiter, and I've got an infantry platoon and the 2 chieftains in reserves. Meanwhile, Johnny's got his one group of 3 Nona here. This is the one out of formation. He's got his other group of 3 Nona here. This is the in formation. He's got BRDMs that extended his deployment zone with his group of BMD here. This group of BMD here are empty, and their infantry is splayed out around the objective. And then he's got some mortars here. And the transports of the mortars were back here behind the forest. So this is one of those that I didn't take a lot of photos for. So this is still start of sort of turn 1. Johnny didn't move a lot of his stuff. Actually, I did forget as well. He does have his observer here. So he didn't move a lot of his stuff. Basically just moved his BMDs up here. He dashed them, cross-country dashed them up, and put them at an 8-inch bubble of the scimitars. Nothing else really moved. I think he relocated some of his BRDMs back and his transports, but apart from that, he stayed still. Oh, sorry. No artillery because it was a meeting engagement. No, it wasn't a meeting because I got my artillery. Anyway, so my turn 1 and into turn 2 sort of movements. So you can see things have a few arrows. I called my Harriers in over here on turn 1, and they absolutely wreaked havoc. They pinned the infantry, pinned the mortars. They killed a Nona, and they killed, I want to say, I think they killed half of the... I think they killed 3, bailed 2 on the BDMs there. BMDs even, not BDMs. My marksman just manoeuvred round to try and get shots off, and they could on the Nonas, I believe. The infantry on the top of the building blitzed up to the corner so they could get shots off into his observer, and eventually they did kill it. On the subsequent turn, I then carried on moving my marksman. This river here, we said as there's only the one crossing point, to make it slightly fairer, it would be shallow and passable, but it would require a cross check. And I did get stuck on it with 2 of my marksmen, which was fun. My little Scorpions, they did a couple of moves using a blitz and their normal movement to get sneak and peek rules, so they were always gone to ground concealed. They just basically moved to try and get back over this side. Seeing as there'd been a large push from infantry and their transports. The scimitars moved to the edge with a blitz, a couple got stuck, and then they shot at the transports before moving back here. Swing fires, I mucked up the deployment. I forgot that technically you have to shoot from their turrets, which are on the back. And although in real life they could shoot over the top of each other because the way the missiles fired, they need to be backwards basically to be used effectively. So they blitzed, turned around, and did stuff. Anyway, the abbots here, they all ranged in and shot here, and they didn't do much really. So yeah, Johnny, after I'd done my first turn of movement, moving around, he moved his other group of transports, what's left of them, aggressively down the middle. This then obviously, as you saw in the previous slide, I blitzed my HQ chieftain up. He took some shots on them and killed those. So yeah, this is sort of still the same sort of turn 2-ish. I realised I got the turn on the top wrong. But I used my helicopters to fly over the Milan platoon. I pushed the Scorpions, as I said, pushed the marksmen, as I said. I went for an couple of artillery, one from the planes with their salvo template, and actual artillery from Abbott's on the transports and the infantry that had moved around. I could do this because the scimitars had moved back to the board edge. The swing fires carried on moving up. So this is sort of the state of the game. Start at turn 3. You can. The one thing I have forgotten to mention is where these infantry came from. I dropped a helicopter here, turn 1. Oh, wrong button. Dropped a helicopter here, turn 1. Disembarked and started running them round, and they were getting hit by the mortars and the one group of noners, because the other group of noners I'd taken out with my marksman at this point. You can see the carnage and what was left of his infantry and what was left of his transports around here, but also you can see he was being quite effective on my infantry. So movement wise, these are the 2 helicopters, as I said, that I'd moved over, and you can see Johnny's actually got his helicopters in here. This is actually start of turn 4, sorry, because he got his reserves in on turn 4, called his reserves in, his helicopters. They forced my Chinooks up, and then they killed my Chinooks. This is something I forgot that could happen. His noners were bombarding my infantry, and not a lot really moved. The Scorpions ran up and round, and they were sort of trying to kill some of the infantry in the centre here. My Abbots were firing on here. The marksmen kept trying to push through, and they weren't successful. Let's put it that way. The group of Harriers came in, and they did take out the noners all but one, and then he ran away on his own, so that was fine. I got my chieftains in. They rushed up along the side, took some shots, did nothing. They assaulted, losing 1 in the assault. The HQ, and they killed the HQ and the 1 remaining transport. They then, after the assault, consolidated for this way. So that was a nice bit of movement for them. Abbots are still trying to pester the infantry with the help of the marksmen. Now the thing was here, Johnny had all of his RPGs upgraded, so they could go through the front of my chieftains. Bazooka skirts are worth nothing against the higher level RPGs, as we found. So this game actually went on for 9 turns. As you can see here, this is sort of like where the board was ending up. This infantry in here, there were 4 stands left at the end of the game, and they just kept refusing to die. I kept pummeling them with the chieftain. I tried an assault, failed. He tried an assault and failed. Eventually, he did kill it. You can see the chieftain here left over from when I brought him on. But they basically dashed around to get onto this objective, and he needed to take it off me. He contested it, and then eventually killed the 2 tanks there with an assault. I brought the 3 chieftain on here. They were pummeling shots down range into his reserve infantry, keeping it pinned and keeping it stuck. Eventually killed my marksman there. The planes were coming in every turn. Like Johnny said, I probably should have used the planes to go anti-helicopter hunting. But instead I was using them to keep dropping the salvo template on infantry to keep it from moving over here. It did end up, I think it was turn 9 we finished, with Johnny winning, and it was a 6-3, because I killed 1 transport, 2 transport, 2 groups of noners, so that got me the 3+ for him. And then he got more than 3 in mine. He actually won the game by breaking my formation, because he killed these chieftains here, which then forces these to run away. He did an incredible job. He killed all but 3 chieftains and 4 harriers. So it was a good game, but I found out that the chieftain, it suffers having the Retfire 1 on the move. It's quite pricey and it has no armor, so it's definitely a glass cannon. It's glass cannon for sure. The air mobile infantry again. I really misplayed that, and that was my fault. But as I'll talk about in a later video, I think the Milan in a infantry platoon, either embedding them by adding them for a point or the 2 points, whatever it is, or taking the air mobile. I think the Milans are a trap for the pure reason that, like Johnny did, he put a big brick on the point. It's 5s and 6s to hit. He left it all game, didn't bother touching it. The issue with the British infantry, as soon as you put the Milan on them, you want to be using the Milans as anti-tank, but then you're giving up your guns ground. So, but my issue in this game was I killed off half my infantry by trying to land it on that objective, and then he got his hinds in. He didn't have access to them. He rolled for them from his reserves and he got them in. So I suppose you could say I was unlucky in the fact that he got the reserve roll first off. However, equally, as we were talking after, if I'd have put the one helicopter on the objective and the other one behind the woods here, he wouldn't have been able to force both up. He'd have got one or the other. That could have got me the game there, but didn't. It was a 6-3. It was a good game. I enjoyed it. We didn't look at rulebook once, as we said after. Either I would know the rules, but I'd be foggy, and Johnny, being a good player, he would know the rules. So between us, we got there. But yes, so that is that. I hope that's okay. I hope that you like the video format. If not, tell me, and I will try and adapt them. But thank you very much, Steve, for watching, and I will catch you around. Have a good day.